Nicholas J. Fuentes ended up doing Patrick Bet David's podcast. And this is a really big deal because um, for a long while, people like Nick had been on Alex Jones's show, criticized by Tucker Carlson, criticized by a lot of people on Fox News, of course, criticized by people on CNN and MSNBC for things he has said, such as the N word or his opinions on Israel and many other things. But this was different. Patrick Bet David isn't just on Rumble, where Nick films his live shows Monday through Friday. Patrick Bet David has millions of followers on YouTube. And even though Nick has done big name shows like Alex Jones, Patrick Bet David's different. Patrick Bet David has done events with Tom Brady. He's done events with Tony Robbins. He was one of the last people to do an interview slash event with the great Kobe Bryant. So Patrick Bet David having Nick Fuentes on is a pretty big deal, especially in 2025. So why does this matter? Well, this shows Nick Fuentes is on the rise. And the reason why he's on the rise is for various numbers of reasons. We can all have opinions on if him saying specific words about people's races are good or bad, or his opinions on the Middle East conflict. We can disagree or agree on that. All of that is debatable based off your viewpoint. But you can't deny that he is getting more likes at a record rate. He's not even on Instagram or Facebook, but especially or TikTok, but on all three of those accounts, he has repost videos that get like 80,000 likes or 10,000 shares. And again, he doesn't have an account on those things. It's just people taking clips from his Rumble show, which a lot of people that see his clips on Instagram or YouTube Shorts or Facebook or TikTok, they don't even know where his live show is, but they're seeing 30 or 40-second clips of his views on feminism, immigration, what's going on in the Middle East, or H-1Bs, or even his takes on the Trump administration. And it's getting him a lot of publicity, and people are starting to follow him more. So I think, although a lot of people, some will agree with his takes after hearing his shorts, others will strongly disagree. You can't deny that he's not going to keep rising and getting more popular in culture. And of course, there's going to be people that dislike him because if you're a Republican, a lot of Democrats are going to dislike you. If you're a Democrat, a lot of Republicans are going to dislike you. That's common nature. But Nick Fuentes, in a way, is almost the opposite of AOC. I say that because if you ask Republicans, they would tell you that the biggest fear is an AOC presidency, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from the Bronx. They used to say that about Bernie Sanders. Well, if you're a liberal, you're saying that somebody like Nick Fuentes is a major threat. Even though he's not old enough to run for president, he's got a major online following that will inspire a lot of people in the years to come. Kind of like Charlie Kirk created with Turning Point USA. Now, let's be honest, Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk is way bigger, or was way bigger. Charlie Kirk specifically, Turning Point USA still happening. Charlie Kirk was bigger than Nick Fuentes. Um, However, it's going to be really interesting to see going into 2026, the midterms, and 2028, the presidential election, where Nick Fuentes goes. And it's also worth noting that people like Steve Bannon, who was, as people would say, one of the architects of the MAGA movement in 2016 when Trump first ran, people like Steve Bannon even have been giving Nick some praise. And certainly Nick has said some controversial stuff. Like I said, you might agree, you might not agree. But it's going to be really fascinating from a political landscape to see where Nick Fuentes goes. He's always had this crowd called the Groypers. And for the longest time, Groypers would be defined as people who are low IQ and work at Pizza Hut and live in their parents' basements. However, though, a lot of people talking about Nick Fuentes are people in high positions of power, And a lot of people that are watching Nick Fuentes are not your normal people that are low IQ living in their parents' basement, working at Papa John's or Pizza Hut or McDonald's. They're people that are in engineering schools at Stanford, even Ivy League schools like Harvard or Yale, schools like um, University, gosh, a lot of big ones. UCLA even, Stanford, Purdue University. There's a lot of students at Purdue University watching Nick Fuentes. Certainly even Northwestern University, the University of Iowa, tons of schools. And all of these people are not working at Pizza Hut. They're not living in their parents' basements. A lot of them are in engineering degrees at schools or in political science at top institutions like Yale, as I mentioned. And those people are not gonna just be working at Pizza Hut their entire life or living back home in their parents' basements. They could become the lawyers. So the movement that Nick has created that started out as a meme with groypers, people who are just, kind of checked out in life and want somebody who's controversial to turn to, we're now seeing people that are very skilled, people that are training to become doctors, people that are in med school, and that's a lot of the Nick Fuentes crowd today. And I think it's going to be telling to see if it goes in a more high Q direction because you can say that if your entire fan base is people that live in their parents' basements, it's not going to be successful. But if a lot of people watching Nick Fuentes are going to be lawyers in 5 years, doctors in 5 years, that could dramatically change the medical industry, the law landscape, and it's going to be very interesting and telling to see where his movement goes. And no matter you like Nick Fuentes or not, there's a reason why he's being talked about, and it's not all by mistake. Make sure you leave a comment below telling me what you think of Nick Fuentes, if you think he's way too radical right, or if you think he has some good views on things.